Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day one of NAB, and good morning as well to those on our live stream from the show hall. My name is Carl Soule. I've been with Adobe in many different roles over the years. Currently, I work in Hollywood, focused on editorial workflows for feature film and broadcast.
And I'm Neil Stevens. I'm Senior Solutions Consultant for Creative Cloud. I'm Carl's counterpart in the UK, looking after the video business over there.
And what we're here to talk to you about today is about how the Adobe video tools have some very specific features built into them dealing with collaboration. Now, when we say collaboration, different people think of collaboration in different ways, and usually it kind of comes up into two main categories with maybe a little bit of overlap between them. The first type of collaboration we're going to talk about today is more of a local collaboration. It's more of an old school, within a facility, working off of shared storage, where you have assistant editors and lead editors basically cutting from the same pool of media on shared storage. And in a lot of cases, this environment can be offline, sandbagged, no internet connectivity, and everything has to work. But for security reasons, people want to keep it completely offline. The second idea of collaboration is a little bit more forward-thinking. It's leveraging the power of the cloud to be able to collaborate over long distances. These are people that already use file sharing services like the Creative Cloud Files folder or Dropbox or other similar tools, and are looking for ways to very quickly, pass their edits back and forth across long distances. Now, the good news is Adobe actually supports both. We decided to support both of these different workflows. Each of them are powerful by themselves, but they're even more powerful, unstoppable together. That's a theme of our show this year, and I think you'll see today from what we're going to show you just how powerful these different workflows are. We're going to get started with a local shared workflow. So I'm on a Mac over here, Niels is on a Mac over here. This works with any type of shared storage. A lot of different storage vendors are compatible with Premiere Pro, including Avid, including Quantum. Today we're actually using something called the LumaForge Jellyfish. This is just it's a portable box with a handle on the top and a bunch of network ports on the back. So it's very quick and easy to set up within a facility if you need to have shared storage. Now, I am currently inside of a Premiere Pro project, but we've set up this project in kind of a special way. We're leveraging the fact that Premiere Pro can now open multiple projects simultaneously, and we have new features that deal with locking projects so that nobody can overwrite each other's work. What I have set up here is actually a what we call a master project. This project is very simple and easy. It's basically just an empty shell of a project. Each of these top-level bins are actually other projects on the drive. So if I open up a Finder window, here is the Premiere Pro project that I currently have open, and you'll see there is a folder called Premiere Pro Shared Projects, and within this there's another series of different Premiere Pro projects. Using a master project in this way makes each of these separate shared projects more like traditional top-level bins. And you can design a workflow that'll meet the needs of how you want to collaborate. Any part of the project that you want to work on simultaneously, or you want to work on one part of a project while somebody else is working on another part, you can put them in separate shared projects to make it really, really easy. Now, another thing you'll notice if I look at my project here, I have a metadata column called Project Locked. This is currently showing that these three projects are locked to me because Niels has them open. So I can see, using a master project, I can see at a glance who has what currently open. I'm going to go ahead and open up Reel 2. And I'm also going to open up the Dailies project so I can kind of get in here and take a look at some of this. Now you'll notice as I open up these projects, my name shows up under the project lock column, but I've got a green lock icon indicating that I currently have these open, and I can start to work with these. Now I'm going to do a little bit of editing with Reel 2, just pull in some new dailies we just got. Niels, what are you doing over there on Reel 1?
So over here on Reel 1, we got an interesting sequence taking place in a bar here. I'm actually doing a bit of sound design and sweetening for this. So if we play that back, you'll see that, well, we're not feeding audio from here, but from my monitoring, I can tell that the dialogue levels inside this sequence are actually fairly badly mismatched. So using the Essential Audio tool that we introduced a few versions back, I can actually just highlight all of the audio on the timeline, tell it that that's a dialogue selection, and go ahead and hit auto match, which, as it says, automatically matches clips to a standard average loudness design for dialogue. So I can go ahead and do that. So I have control of this this Reel 1 project right now because of the elegant system that you've described, in that Premiere looks after you and makes sure that you can't have two people overwriting the same project at the same time. But now I'm in a place where I want to actually go ahead and let Carl take a look at some of this for his approval. I'm also going to just go ahead and stick some effects on the master channel. There's quite a useful limiter tool built in that, again, if you're just in a hurry and you're trying to sweeten sound and get it working correctly, under amplitude and compression, there's a multiband compressor in here, which is quite a nice piece of software. So if you just select that to broadcast or even internet delivery, that's kind of like a perfect mix in a box kind of solution if you're really running out of time for audio processing work. Carl, I'm kind of in a place where I might want you to take a look at what I'm doing now. So I'm going to go ahead and save out the changes to the project, the Reel 1 project.
All right. If we can switch back over to my computer, what I've actually been doing here is just pulling out some selects from today's dailies, and I kind of want to put these and set these to some music. Now, Niels currently has the music project locked, and I can even see that here. I've gone ahead and double-clicked on this in the original master project. Even though these are locked to me, I can still double-click and open them. I just can't make any changes to these. Now, you'll notice when I look at this project, I can see that Niels is the one who has it locked. I can see the lock icon, but if I try and move or make any changes to this, it's not going to let me. It is a true read-only mode right now. But that doesn't prevent me from taking, let's say, a music clip that I want to use. I can drag it and drop it into a sequence that lives inside of the Reel 1 or Reel 2 project, and I can actually make this go. Now, Niels, we had some new music. I got some special MP3 files of Jason Levine doing some of his wonderful music work, but I'm not seeing it in the music project right now.
Okay.
Can you import that, since you already have the music project open on your machine and you've got the read-write access? Can you add some extra clips into that for me?
No problem, Carl. If we can just switch back for a little while to my desktop, you can see that I've got the music project open here, and that has a little red lock icon in the bottom left-hand corner to indicate it's read-only. But I can still go ahead and import some music into that, as Carl says. Here we are. Here's some of those clips that we had earlier. I can import. And they're now added. But now if I, again, save out those changes and save that project, Carl, if we switch back over to your desktop, you should actually see those changes reflected, and that music now becomes available to you since we're on the same storage.
So the way I can see this is I didn't have to close the music project and reopen the music project to see these changes take effect. I get a little notification, this little exclamation point that you see here. So now if I want to get access to those files, all I have to do is refresh this project. And when I do this, I'll just undock that again. It went back to its default location. We'll just undock it and bring it back up. Here are the files that have been added here. So now if I want to use something like Say It Out Loud Creative Cloud, I can just drag and drop this over into my project. And at no point do I actually have to go through and close that project and reopen it to see those changes take effect. It all happens pretty seamless, pretty automatic. All right, now a couple of other things that I want to quickly show you here. Let me go back over to my master project. If I needed to make a Reel 4 shared project, all I have to do is choose New Item, and there's a choice in the menu here for Shared Project. Again, all a shared project is a shortcut within this project and a new Premiere Pro project that lives on the shared storage. I can even open that independently. I don't always have to go into the master project. If I know I just need to make changes in one of these individual projects, I can just go direct and open that up directly. But if I'm in the master project, I can see at a glance who is using what. So if I want to make a new one, I can just click Shared Project. We'll call this one Reel 3. And now I have a blank Reel 3 project I can continue to work with. Another thing I can also do is link an existing project. So if I double click in my master project and I go in and find another project. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, just a little bit of media management. I probably would want to move this into the shared projects directory just for backup purposes, keeping everything together, but I don't have to. In this case, I'm just going to leave it where it is. I'm going to open up this other selects project. Maybe this is something I was working on at home and I've brought in and copied it over to the shared storage. Now I can import this. And when I import a project into another project, I have the choice of importing the sequences and media or to just create that shortcut, import it as a shared project. So when I do that, I get the little shortcut icon inside of my project and I can continue working. Now at this point, if Niels wants to see that, all I have to do is save the master and Niels will be able to see that. Now, one last benefit I just wanted to take a moment and point out, one of the things about this workflow that's really great, in addition to the collaborative environment that we're in, and again, we're using one example here using Reels. You could set this up with scene bins and acts. Really, it's flexible. You can use it exactly the way you want to use these different bins. Opening up a large project in Premiere can take a little bit of time sometimes. I hear that from customers because they have, tens of thousands of files. They've imported 100,000 sound effects and 50,000 music files. Premiere, when we open up a main project, we have to kind of look at each of those individual files. But now, all those elements that you reuse on a regular basis and you only touch in a certain part of your overall creative workflow, things like sound effects, things like music, put those into separate shared projects, and that way you can double click and you can, it'll take a moment for that to open when you're working on sound effects, but you don't have to incur that long load time every single time you load your main project. So it again helps with load times, it helps with collaboration. It's just a really, really wonderful feature. And this is available to anybody using Creative Cloud. So this is available for Creative Cloud individual users. Again, requires some kind of shared storage to be able to operate. All right, with that, we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit here. I'll go ahead and close the music project. And I'm going to switch over to something called the team project here. Niels, why don't you explain a little bit about what a team project actually is?
Sure thing. So what you've seen here are two distinct approaches to collaboration. Whereas we looked at shared projects before, that's quite an elegant solution to actually being able to collaborate on a low-cost basis with just any ordinary shared storage. And I think, historically a Premiere Pro project was not a particularly network-aware item, but this new feature we've added to the software makes it so and kind of protects you from treading on anyone else's toes or overwriting other people's changes. With team projects, however, we've taken a different approach, and essentially what this permits you to do is a similar workflow, but with some distinct differences that we'll talk about in a little while. Essentially, all of the project metadata is now actually stored in the Adobe Cloud. So that means you can collaborate with anybody anywhere globally, but you can also move quickly from machine to machine and pick up where you were, because all of your work is essentially held in a sandbox. So Carl, I think if we've got your desktop open right now, do you have a team project open that you can collaborate on with me?
Yeah, so we're going to use the one called NAB Promo Monday.
Okay.
And I've gone ahead and opened up, this is where I can go in and I can create new team projects or I can manage any existing team projects. Beauty of this is I can only see the projects that I'm invited to or that I created. Anybody else, I have to invite them to a team project before they'll be able to see it. So this is moving away from having local project files on your machine or on your shared storage. In this case, we're actually storing the project data in a database in the cloud. Now, we do not manage where the media is found. We're not uploading your media files to the cloud, but this works really, really well with different types of media syncing solutions out there. In this case right now, we're using media, we're actually leveraging our Creative Cloud Files folder, which can sync and we can have collaboration with different people to collaborate. So Niels has synced up a copy of the media on his machine. I've got a copy of it on my machine using the Creative Cloud Files folder. If I wanted to create a new team project, I'd have to give this a name. I'll call this Monday 2. I'm not going to really create this. I just want to show you what this is like. And from here, I just need to add Niels as a contributor, as a collaborator, so that he can see this and start to work with this as well.
So the key here is that everybody who is an Adobe user who has an Adobe ID can collaborate with you on your projects regardless of where they may be.
Exactly. So I've got a sequence here. This is for a completely different project that we're working on here. This is more of a surfing video. We've got some surfing shots. We've got an interview going on in this. I might want to work with this, do a little bit of color work. Using some of the new color tools inside of Premiere Pro, I can go in and actually start to do some color matching within this. So really quickly, let me just open up my team project. There we go. And from here, I can find a clip within the timeline, maybe something like this. I want to play with this shot in, see what the auto matching color feature, if you haven't seen the new color tools inside of Adobe Premiere, they're brand new tools. They work great with team projects as well. The auto match has come up with some settings here, but of course these are all fully modifiable and tweakable. So I'm going to go into my comparison view and kind of compare what I had before with maybe I want to make some changes to this. What'll happen if I push the blues, push the shadows kind of off into the blue a little bit, get a little bit of a blue wash going on. I can do a split screen view with this, kind of see how this looks by adding that on. Maybe, yeah, I kind of like that. So I've made a change to one of the clips in the sequence here. I now want to show that to Niels. I want him to be able to look at this. Now, we're next to each other on stage, but because of the power of team projects, Niels could be in London, and I could be in Los Angeles making these changes and pushing these out so Niels can see them. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Share Changes, and I'll just make a note here. Made a shot blue. Click Share. That'll share my changes. And with that, let's go back over to Niels' machine.
Thanks, Carl. So if we look at my desktop, you can see that those two icons, this is the distinction between a local project and a team project. You have these two functions here for get changes and share changes. I can see now that Carl has made some, and indeed there's a red arrow lit up there on the asset status to show me there's some.
Go ahead and
changes.
click on that little arrow
Sure.
there, because this is actually a new feature that we have. If you have any question, Niels and I are doing something really, really dangerous here. I want to point that out. How many times do you edit a sequence and another editor is editing the same sequence while you're editing that sequence? That's what we're doing right now. We're trying to show you that it's possible, but you can, of course, have collisions where I'm doing things and Niels is doing things on top of each other. Team projects will allow you to do it, but it will notify you. It'll warn you. It'll tell you who in the group is making those changes so that you can go in and kind of talk on the phone about who's going to take what.
That's right. And so as with the local projects where you can, the approach to safety is locking out the project from other users, here the safety net is essentially a conflict resolution engine. So if I click on there to get the changes of the latest version of that NAB Promo Monday, we let the internet come into alignment. It's told me you've done something very bad. You've done something nobody should ever do. And as Carl mentioned, we have been tug of war pulling in opposite directions on this particular sequence. What now? Do we keep mine? He won because he checked it in first, but now what happens? Keep my version, take the shared version, or crucially, I can copy and rename my version and make a fork in the road and keep both of them, which you can then actually offer up in the kind of pancake layout in the timeline as well if you wanted to reconcile the changes between the two. The other thing I've actually done, we'll just give this a chance to reconcile what's in there. After Effects is also a first-class citizen of the team projects world. So we'll just give the internets a chance to think about what they're up to. And then I can actually show you that you can see it here anyway. That was an After Effects composition that I've added to the timeline there. So what you get is like an Uber project that can contain clips, sequences, comps, and any other After Effects elements all together. So,
well, while the internet is thinking about what it's doing,
we seem to be having a think. There we are.
There we go.
There we go. That's now updated, and I'm told all conflicts were successfully resolved. So, Carl, why don't you tell us a little bit about how we can dig back into the history of this project?
Absolutely. So let's go back over to my machine, and thank you. What I can do inside of the team project, because this is a database, I have the ability to use the media browser and actually go to any team project. I can see the team project as if it were a drive attached to the machine. And when I click on this, I'll actually see the current state of the project in the media browser. But more importantly, Team Projects has what we call a project version slider. This slider enables me to go back in time. Every time we've shared changes, we can actually go back to that point in time. If I need to pull an earlier copy of this, if I need to make a new copy of my project in an earlier state, I have the ability to do that. So let me just grab this slider. Each and every time I go back in time, you can see the comment down at the bottom. There's where Neil's shared some changes. If I scroll down a bit, I can see that's where we've added the After Effects composition. So I can go back in time to any previous version, and I can actually pull that version of a sequence up to the current version. Now we also have a new feature which will let me actually make a copy of my older copy of my project. I can actually take and promote that and say, you know, this NAB Promo Monday, I want to actually make a new version of this from the version that I have selected. So by selecting the team project over on the left, I get this new option saying make a new team project from a previous version. So this allows me to keep where I'm currently at in this branch and now make a new branch kind of going back in time to an earlier version of the project. So really nothing is ever lost. I have the ability to go back through the history at any point in the process. All right, you want to switch back over to you just to show that After Effects composition?
Sure, why not? Now that it's settled down. So yeah, you can see that I have that same comp open in After Effects itself. The team project is running inside After Effects.
That's
again,
nice and dark and moody.
Yeah, bleak rainfall. And that the same shot is used because this particular team project is open in two places simultaneously. You see, so there is the After Effects comp, and I've added it as an element into the timeline over here. And there he is. So as mentioned, the team project is asset aware for any of the types that you can add within either Premiere or After Effects. Equally, the media encoder actually can work alongside team projects, so you could use yet another location to sign in and be pushing and publishing your final output files on a separate station that was also signed into that particular team project.
Absolutely. Now the last thing that we want to show you, we've shown you two completely different styles of collaboration. Local collaboration using project locking, multiple open projects, and a master project. And then the team project service, which is leveraging the cloud, allowing for collaboration over great distances. The team project service does require Creative Cloud for Teams or Creative Cloud for Enterprise. So if you're on an individual account, we do have ways of upgrading you to a Teams account if you have interest in using Creative Cloud for Teams. the last thing that I wanted to talk about with the little bit of time we have left is the fact that these two different models, these two different types of collaboration actually work together. So if we can go back to my computer for a second. Here I am in my team project. I actually have the capability, if I want, I can create a secondary team project and link the two together with a shortcut. So if I have common elements that a bunch of different people are using that I want to make sure they're all online, I could put those into a single team project and then link to that in other projects as we're reusing that media for, the promos group, for, the online group, and so on and so forth. The other thing I can also do, in order to cut down the amount of syncing back and forth between the media and everything else, it's possible to create new a local shared project from within a team project. So the idea behind this, if I create a local project, I can actually import it into my team project. So as an example of this, I'll go ahead and double click. I'll go to that same selects project that we were working on before. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to actually go into, because this makes a little bit more sense, things like music, where you have 50,000 files. Well, I'm not going to sync the music in the cloud. I've got my music library. Niels probably has his own music library. We don't want to share those at this point in time, but I'm going to need to drag some clips from this into my team project. I can actually create a shared project in a team project. So now I get the same shortcut icon that I would see in a local shared project. Niels isn't going to be able to access this, but when I open this up, if I start to drag and drop clips into the team project, we can set up the team project in such a way that those files will leverage something like Creative Cloud files and automatically sync. So if I go into my team project settings and go to the ingest settings, if I enable this and set this up to copy any files that I bring in, anything that I drag and drop in from my local music library, it'll make a copy into my shared location or into my Creative Cloud files folder, my Dropbox, and at that point it'll start synchronizing to Niels' system and he'll have access to it as well. So all different types of collaboration models are capable by combining team projects and local shared projects workflows. We think you're really going to like this. Anything I'm forgetting,
Indeed.
Niels?
No, I think you've just about covered it, Carl. We've got shared projects, shared projects within team projects. Just don't go 3 layers deep because that's like Inception.
Yeah, don't cross the streams. It'll open the rift and never mind. Okay.
So yeah, as I say, something for everyone, a sophisticated approach to cracking collaboration regardless of your workflow.
All right. If you guys have any questions, we do have a collaboration pod around the back that can answer questions about team projects. And most of the Premiere Pro stations can answer any questions about any of the local shared workflows you might have. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.